Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.
Welcome to Primetime Home Buyers, the buyback team. You're here with Lashley. Yes, on a Friday, as you know, I try to keep my word. I hope you guys are having an amazing day and you're ready to get started, learning some hints and tips with Lashley. Now, before we get into our actual topic today, we're going to be talking about what is a PERC test. We're going to get into details about that in later broadcasts, but we're going to go into other things like how to look for utilities, like, concepts of looking to see if your property has utility or the land. We're going to be talking about buildable land, accessibility to land, very important. Where are the property line and what's going on around the property? Those are some of the concepts. What does the property look like in person? What is your plans in the future, such as finance? We'll talk a little bit about that, other creative ideas. And then we're going to be talking a little bit more about utilities and how to check for property utilities. And we're going to finish off with just talking about certain ways to go about perking. But before we get into details about all of that, we got something to show you because we do a little bit of hot topics sometimes, and there is some hot realty topics. It's not enough for me to take up my whole broadcast, but it is enough for us to talk about some stuff. Okay. Now, I came across this interesting video, which was a little heart-wrenching as a tax lien investor, real estate investor. You know that there's a lot of things that's going on. Hold on one second, y'all. I'm just going to start it on Instagram. There's a lot of things going on in society right now where it comes to the cost of living, people being in binds and situation. So that do affect you as well, as owners and people who are investing in real estate property and plan to be owners. So let's get to this. I wanted to show you this. This is an example of squatters and how it can happen and how it's still happening today, right now. And this happened actually in College Park in Atlanta. And it's very troublesome when you work really hard to try to get your property and go through all the loopholes you got to, and then you have something like this happen.
Only on 11 Alive News, this morning the fight continues for a College Park woman who's trying to remove squatters from the home that she owns. Right now, police are telling her they cannot remove them legally. The homeowner tells 11 Alive she brought new renters to the home only to find out the locks had been changed. There were a pair of shoes by the door and somebody inside. 11 Alive reporter Brittany Kleinpeter went there to check it out for us. The owner didn't want to show her face out of fear for her safety, but told Brittany the intruder showed officers what they claimed was a lease. She says police told her because of an increase in rental scams, she would need to go through the courts to get them out.
He was just arguing like, well, you're going to have to evict me because this is my house. I'll stay here now. He just was blatantly like, I got over on you. He's like a professional scammer. You can tell he's done it before.
And a neighbor says she saw people move in over the weekend. The homeowner went to Fulton County Court to file for an eviction. We'll keep you updated on what happens next.
All right, and it's still happening today. And this is what I want to show you guys. All of my investors, please be careful. The best thing you can do is secure your property. Make sure that you have double and triple padlocks if you have to. Have the neighbors pay attention to what's going on. It is what it is. These days it's pretty crazy, but because there's scams like what we talked about, where people will actually rent out properties, take people money, and they not be the owner, those people are due process as well. So then you find scammers who find their way in the middle of that and it ends up being a situation like that. So I found that interesting, and I wanted to show y'all, because in the next couple of weeks as well, we're going to continue to go down the yellow brick road of mitigating risk factors as tax lien and tax deeds investors, real estate investors, foreclosures investors, the things that I show you, the mitigating risk factors, the due diligence process. It can be applied at every level of real estate. I'm going to tell you this, that working with a real estate agent in Maryland, it is so much that she has shown me, and it's so much that I have shown her, so just make sure that when you take this information, you do your due diligence to apply it to your particular process. Okay. Now, moving forward, this was another video that I found interesting. I'm just going to show y'all. It's not enough to do a whole broadcast, but it is something enough for us to talk about it because I want y'all to be safe. So, man who bought residential firehouse sued by Seattle for use as residency. Does that make sense? Now, basically, what ended up happening, this is to my specialty builders, investors, the one who wants to buy property and do different things with it. Okay. This is a video highlight for you because this man went the right way of purchasing his property and everything. And somehow he started to be targeted by the city saying that he could not live in this home that was basically a fire station that was recreated into a home. So let's watch this together.
Tonight, a historic firehouse auctioned off as a future home.
It was a competitive environment. This is a nice neighborhood up here.
But years after the purchase, the new owner was cited for a code violation. Even though the property was advertised as a, quote, unique residential dwelling, the new owner was sued for using it as a residence.
A little odd, huh? So now he is fighting back and told only Cairo 7's Amy Clancy about his 4-year battle with the city of Seattle.
This is the advertisement that grabbed Tom Crone's attention. A historic fire station, no longer in use by the city, up for auction in Seattle's Bryant neighborhood. It was marketed as a, quote, unique residential dwelling.
We purchased the property in 2012, I believe it was, and thought we had essentially bought a residential property.
For how much?
$712,000.
Crone did some interior remodeling.
We've had a lot of family events here.
And for more than 3 years, his extended family and friends used the firehouse for holidays, celebrations, charity fundraisers, graduation parties, and as an office. Until this land use notice of violation arrived in July of 2016. According to the City of Seattle's letter, a complaint about this property had been received. So a housing and zoning inspector investigated and found violations of the Seattle Land Use Code. Crone was ordered to discontinue all unauthorized uses, including but not limited to office and residence, because the legally established use of the property is as a public facility, fire station.
Because I thought it was sort of a joke when they said, well, it's still a fire station. I said, should I buy a truck? I mean, seriously, this is just crazy. You sell a residential property and then you tell me it's still a fire station.
According to a civil lawsuit Crone recently filed, the 2016 letter was the first time the city had notified the Crone family that Fire Station 38 was not, as the city had represented, a residential dwelling. Crone was also sued by Seattle for alleged violations of city municipal code for using Fire Station 38 as something other than a fire station.
Wow.
They sued us.
And what
for
was the claim?
$500 a day.
And how much would that equate to?
Well, I think I saw a number someplace around $400,000 in arrears.
The city's lawsuit was dropped after Crone hired land use and zoning attorney Clayton Graham to countersue.
After that separate lawsuit was filed, it appeared that people's attention was more focused on solving the permitting issue.
Graham is now hoping to help his client recover at least the $50,000 to $80,000 Crone estimates he's spent battling the city.
If any seller sold a property as a residence and it couldn't be used as a residence, the buyer could seek recourse for damages.
Exactly.
We're just trying to hold the city to the same standards that the rest of the community need to live by.
Crone's complaint alleges the ad used to market Fire Station 38 was an intentional and negligent misrepresentation.
Do you think the city of Seattle knew that it was being marketed as a residence or should have known before the auction process?
The city hired a third-party agent to help sell the property, but the city had supervisory control over that agent.
Crone also claims his constitutional rights were violated by the city's investigator because the notice of violation was based on illegal and unconstitutional entries onto the property.
It appears that someone may have come onto the property and peeked through the windows before they could draw the conclusion that this was being used as an office or a residence. If this is the way the city of Seattle or other cities enforce their code, by coming onto property with no consent and with no warrant, that's a major problem.
I asked the Seattle Department of Construction and Inspections for an on-camera interview to discuss this case. I also asked the Seattle City Attorney's Office, and those requests were denied. Instead, a spokesman sent the following email: "We're currently investigating the claims brought in this lawsuit and will then prepare a response to the allegations." Still investigating 4 months after Crone's lawsuit was filed.
All right. So listen, I just want to talk about this a little bit, guys, because this is something really, really out of pocket. First and foremost, this is allegedly the city. Now, this was one of the things that I was talking to someone about. Many people believe that the city owns all of the land that they conduct business on. I've learned that hard truth when I lived in Columbus, Georgia. There was the firefighters who were protesting or something related to fundings, as well as the rent increase of the particular fire station that was going to be taking a good amount of the funding. Now, the rent, and I'm like, the rent, what do you mean? Like, who the heck do they pay the rent to? In this particular town in Columbus, Georgia, there is allegedly 3 rich families who own the land that houses the school, the police station, fire station, and other municipalities. Now, I bring that up because if you have a situation, something like this, and they're private owners, and then they advertise under the guise of government officials because these private owners have more power than what you think. Okay, I'm just saying, I can see how a property like this be advertised as a residential, and then the city comes in and say, no, this is not part of our code. Now, there's so many check and balance systems that I believe should have taken place in this particular deal. Let me see if I can put another picture up there. Okay, in his particular deal, let's keep this in mind. He financed this place. He didn't buy it outright cash, and then he put money into the place. So there had to be a particular lenders. Most and every lender is obligated to do a title search, do an adequate background on the property, and all over those documents, it should say fire station, fire station, fire station. That should have put in their head, like, let's see the zoning criteria for this, because we already know as tax liens and tax deed investors that we pay attention to zonings because we don't want to be in situations like this where we get a particular property and then we cannot do what we want to do. There is, i.e. agriculture, commercial property, resident, dual families. You want to know, can you do that? Some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, some of the phrases we're going to talk about, we're going to go into kind of like, you know how I like to sidebar and put in real stories so it can make sense for you. This is why we're showing you this, because these things can pop up after you have put hundreds of thousands of dollars into a project, and then someone comes and say, the city say, this is not what you're supposed to use it for. In this case particularly is very alarming because it's actually allegedly the city who sold him the property. So this is why it's important for you to keep in mind that sometimes you may have to bring litigation. I'm so sorry, but if you want to stand your ground in particular situations and not get rolled over, you have to show up. So this man has to put more money out over the last 3 to 4 years just to stand up for his property that he bought legally from the county. That was allegedly a firehouse, that was converted into a home. So we're going to keep you posted on this. I just wanted to show you some mishaps in real time, how it can really happen if you don't do your due diligence, or someone within the process doesn't do your due diligence. This is a more alarming because this was a home finance. This was loans that went
When they said,
out. If
well,
me and you make mistakes as tax lien and tax deed investors, people want to understand that like, well, there was a one-man band. But when you have realty companies, mortgage companies doing things like this is when it becomes very alarming. And we know that the Dodd-Frank Act has been defunded. I'm going to bring that up periodically. If y'all don't remember what that is, the Dodd-Frank Act was put in place by Obama. That was one of the good things that he did when it came to the housing crisis. And that was supposed to help regulate predatory loans, inadequate disclosure statements, as well as, just disclosures of changes and all that stuff. It was a lot within the Dodd-Frank Act. And because it's defunded, they cannot move forward with protecting the people that they can. It's still there. It's still there. The Consumer Protection Bureau, that's still there, but they don't really have the funds. So this is why I think we're seeing a lot of these scams, realty scams. And then as you saw in the first, you got people squatting in the houses. It's just a little bit out of control. So we're going to show you one more before we actually get to our topic today. The next one is Texas man loses home after Bastrop County politician plants a no trespassing sign. Now, this is a little political, but we're going to listen to this, because sometimes when you get in situations in areas where you own property and the government want to get you, they're going to sock it to you. We just going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. There are some crookedness that goes on, and municipalities use their power to come down on people. So let's see if this is that type of situation, and we're going to talk about it. The position of
I feel
power.
like a victim today. Definitely. I never felt so much like a victim in my entire life.
Tonight, a lawsuit claims a Bastrop County man was kicked out of his home and it was sold off by some of the most powerful people in the county. Allegations of fraudulent court records follow.
As that man left without a home is searching for answers. Here's KXAN's investigator, Jody Barr.
2 months ago, Frank Vickers says he was roused off his couch by a Bastrop County deputy standing in his living room.
He said, "This property has been sold.
Wow.
You need to vacate these premises immediately," is what you need to do.
Did he say why?
Because this property is sold. This property has a new owner.
No eviction notice, no court papers. Vickers says he had no idea who sent the deputy over. The next day, Vickers knew something was up when he got this voicemail.
This is Bubba Snowden. I'm the county commissioner.
It was Gary, a.k.a. Bubba Snowden, one of the county's top elected officials.
Bringing a sign over today to notify you. So give me a call and talk to me and make it easy on both of us. Thank you.
The sign told Vickers to stay off the property. Vickers has rented this house from a friend for 20 years, but the sign listed a new owner, Tracy Ortiz, Commissioner Bubba Snowden's daughter.
These people have so much power. I felt like I had to leave. I was being intimidated and forced out of my home.
Was there a court order telling you to leave?
No, there wasn't. I left out of an abundance of caution and because I was intimidated by law enforcement and county officials. And I didn't know any better. I didn't know any different.
You ain't like the first guy.
Yes.
We spent the next several days with Vickers,
Ms. Snowden,
calling everyone involved.
this is Frank Vickers.
Let's call the tax assessor and find out who owns this property. Just calling to see if this property been sold at a tax sale, and going door to door to every county office that deals with property sales.
I'm the renter there. I just want to make sure that everything's cleared.
There were no records to be found. Then, the very next day after we checked, a sheriff's deed turned up at the courthouse. It showed a county constable auctioned Vickers' home off for $20,000. So Vickers and his landlord hired Austin real estate attorney Bill Gammon to figure it all out.
If you're in Frank Vickers' shoes, what do you do?
Run.
And his
Gammon
landlord.
found Vickers' landlord owed a contractor $6,000 for work in another county unrelated to his home. But it led to a judgment that a Bastrop County constable used to seize, then sell the house. There was a problem, though. The house is also listed as the landlord's homestead. Texas law says it cannot be seized or auctioned off.
Okay, let's stop here, guys, because this is a great and amazing story. This is so much about some of the concepts I have been talking to you about. Now, first and foremost, they were lucky to have that man in their place, because just like the first story, he could have just stayed in there and said, I got a lease. I haven't been served the eviction notice. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm staying here. But because he was intimidated, he left. Now, as a renter, when you invest in a tax lien or tax deed, or this is one of your, I told you this process can be elongated when you have someone in the home, because you have to properly put them on notice. Now, you see exactly what happened. He wasn't, his landlord was not behind on taxes per se, but did have a lien and a judgment placed on the home from an outstanding mechanical lien, deal with some type of home renovation. This is why we talk about look for mechanical liens in the county, sometimes surrounding the county. The best thing that I can suggest to my tax lien investors that I am going to add to the title search section is get a membership to PERC. It is absolutely free. The only thing you have to do is actually verify your address. And then when you download the information you need as far as court cases, things like that, then you pay. Okay. Now, why I recommend PERC, because if anyone with you, you could put your name in there, your boss's name, as I talk about, your wife, whoever, and you will see every single court case that come up for them in the United States if you put your search in right. Okay. So we're going to show you that one day, just to show you how you can pull up cases on anyone on PERC. And this will help you kind of do your due diligence in situations like this, because it will be able to capture mostly all of the counties who went through the United States who have a public record, because it does go up to PERC. Okay. Now, I'm saying that because what happens in this particular situation where a home was secretly sold on the tax lien sale, what could you do? Okay. Now you want to look for the holes. You want to look for the flaws. What did they not do? They did not notify him. First and foremost, it seems like they did not notify the homeowner. So that is a strong litigation case in itself. The second factor, looking at what's on the screen, a homestead. What did we tell y'all? Stay away from homesteads. No, what is it? Homeowner associations and homesteads. Okay, let's add that, because these particular type of entities have protections under the law depending on the state. Okay, meaning that you won't be able to sell a homestead property based on the state or based on the county, or you won't be able to sell the property under the homeowner association until all the things are due based on the state, these type of things. So this is why now you see why we talk about the things. Now, watching this particular video, you look at it different from the average person. You're just like, they're like, wow, that's bad. But then me and you can analyze the video and say, this is what he was supposed to do. This is what's missing. This is how they messed up. But at the end of the day, these two people still have a case because of just the two things that I talked about that was not correct. But they have to have the funding and the right representation that understands how to litigate these particular arguments. So let's finish listening of what's going on here. But I wanted to stop there because there was two important factors that we talk about all the time, which is stay away from HOAs. Homesteads could put certain stipulations in the process of you foreclosing, maybe elongate it, maybe stop you because the county didn't notice it was a homestead and they sold it anyway. Okay. He should have removed the fire station sign. He should. Oh, you talking about the first story? Sound like a bunch of haters call him out. Yeah, they probably was jealous of the fact that he had a home that he re-renovated into that house looked nice. That fire station house. Yes. And I think he should have removed the fire station sign. But you know how people are, they want to have things that look kind of like vintage and things like that. But yeah, he shouldn't have had that up there. I think that's a good idea. All right, so let's get to this video. Does it make sense to some of the things I highlighted and the reason why I showed this? Because now we can literally look at this video and analyze it much different than the average person. All right, let's watch this.
And even if Bastrop County was able to sell it, they have to notify the owner with this document known as a writ of execution.
Exactly.
But our investigation uncovered a major discrepancy with the dates on the document. Bastrop County claims it got the document in February, more than 2 months before it was even created in April. Gammon showed the document to a judge who called it fraudulent.
I was just about to say, what is it, guys? Fraud. And that is the biggest forward to a court that will eradicate everything. Okay. If there's any fraud in the title, the deed, the transfer, the person, the date, anything, it is reneged. The whole sale is voided, and it goes back to its original state. Okay. Now, I don't know if they could go to jail, but it is some fraud being taking place here. And when we finish, watch this, when you listen, guess you're going to see who's doing the fraud. It's sad who's doing the fraud.
If you read it on its face, it's fraudulent.
A ruling Vickers would need.
Hello, sir. I'm just out here to check my mail.
To reclaim his home. It's been 3 months since he could even go on the property.
I think that the person who allegedly bought the property had inside connections
Look at her.
that she is using in order to be able to gain unfair
His
advantage
daughter.
and game the system. This is the very thing that we left England to get away from.
Vickers had one final shot at answers when he went straight to the seat of power, Commissioner Bubba Snowden.
I'm Frank Vickers. I was just going to ask you about that sign I have out there in front of my house at 418 Taylor Road over out here.
Wow. Now, I'm going to stop this right here. It's so disgusting because let me say this. I learned so much about this tax lien and tax deed process from lawyers, from people who actually work with these particular process, because people who were losing their process. Losing their home, I do apologize. When I first learned about tax liens and tax deeds, one of the things that I highlighted and I found out from the particular lawyer that I was dealing with at the time is that there are some lawyers who actually will get the family will sign their estate over to the lawyer and holdings in the guise that it will stop their property from being seized. So instead of it being in their name, for instance, if they had a lien or things like that was about to cause them to lose their home, they would transfer it to the lawyer. He put it in his name and make payments to the lawyer. Yes. I told you I learned this process from a lawyer because a lot of lawyers was in this tax lien and tax deed game before the general public. So now in this particular situation, you'll see that it's actually government officials. And that's why when we was doing our state to state breakdown, there were particular rules in each state that said, if you have any affiliate with the government here, anybody that you know, you can't participate, because they wanted to eliminate things like this because we know that people play crooked. Now that young lady looked like his daughter or his granddaughter. So he's probably saying, we got all these homes on the list. We need to get rid of them. We need investors with money. Now, if y'all got no investors with money, get your aunties, get your uncles down here and do what you got to do. We're going to sign these things over to you quick and easy before they even go on a tax lien sale. So you see, via fraudulent documents being done by that particular government, allegedly. So never underestimate who you're dealing with. It's sad to say, I already told you that Lashley had to sue a county, which is Queen Anne County. I got the proof. They settled the lawsuit, but I got the proof, okay? Because they didn't want this type of stuff in public record of the things that they weren't doing correctly. So I hope you enjoyed those first 3 videos that we showed you just to get you in the frame of mind of mitigating risk factors, the real things that can really happen, from squatters to people just selling homes under people's noses and those type of things. Please be careful. Pray to God that those things don't happen to you, because it will take you through a world of litigation, but you must stand your ground, okay? At least you'll know where they messed up, how they messed up, just by us talking about these things, okay? So now let's get into what we wanted to talk about today, like what is a PERC test. Now, we're going to do a full formal live on what is a PERC test, and it's going to be PowerPoints, and that's probably going to be next week, because what we're going to be going into is our next sneak peek to our next seminar. I keep hearing something knocking. I do apologize. To our next seminar that we're going to be starting in the next couple of weeks, which is entitled, hold on one second, it is building land, the concepts you need to know for new investors. Okay. Everything that we show you is for people who need to understand these concepts from A to Z and apply it. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So some of these concepts we talk about now is for sellers and builders. Okay. Because you want to sell at the right price, as we told you. And the only way you're going to sell for the right price, right value is knowing exactly what you can do with your land, what your land is worth, and what market you're in. Okay. Knowing your buyers and what to expect. That was some of the things we went into when we talked about how to sell land. Now, this is kind of like a bridge, because now not only is you selling land, you want to keep in mind, what type of land, the area, but you want to know what you can do with the land. And some of the main things that you have to start off is the foundation of the land. You need to know about the soil. You need to know if there's utilities, if there's sewer. Don't always think that just because you have a property next to another home that is actually perkable. Okay. What does that mean? Let's get to it. So what does it mean when land is perked? Okay. It means that the septic system for the sewer can't be installed because of soil conditions. So let's keep it moving. What are we talking about? Soil and sewage. You have to have some type of relief system for sewage in the home. Okay. Property has to absorb water, which is the PERC, or order to have a septic tank to install. So they perk the land to see how absorbent it is. It's not saying that the feces and everything is going to go into the land, but this is the concept of the land being perked. The tank requires a drain field, okay, in order to empty its content. So it's not going to be just this one septic system. It's going to be the surrounding land. So you want to know, does the city have their own sewer system, or do you need to get it perked? Okay. That sometimes costs you a pretty penny. That's why you can do your research before you even invest in the property to see, does the city offer sewage and those type of things. Okay. A septic system is basically a series of pipes under the ground where your waterways drains into. If the soil is too hard to let it drain, the system won't work. So this is why you need to know if the land is perkable. Other people are like, what is perkable land? I don't need to know that. Yes, you do need to know that, because that can make or break your sale. What if you have a sale to someone who wants to build on the property and not just hold it, or maybe not just use it for agriculture? They need to know if it's perkable. Does it have sewage? Okay. However, depending on where you live, the health department may allow other systems like sand mount systems, such as raised engineer systems. So when we go into perkable versus non-perkable in our formal broadcast, we're going to get into that. Okay. All right. So we just bringing up concepts today for you guys to keep in mind, so you can start building your the synoptic gaps for you guys to get ready to build. Okay. We talked about selling. We talked about foreclosing. No way. We talked about investing, the type of investments, your mindset, doing your due diligence, doing your soft title search. What I call a soft title search, people are confused about that. What is the difference between soft title search and it? Listen, soft title search is not a legal term. You need a title company to do an official title search. What I do is do everything that a title company should and would do that I know of. Okay. I know where to go online to look for majority information related to the property, and I can at least get you back at least 60 years. Everything is public information. Okay. So the reason why it's not a true title search is because every title search that are deemed true have to come through a title company, and it's best to get it insured. Okay. That will save you a lot of heartache. But these are some of the things that we did. We actually do our due diligence, doing our soft title search. Now we know what the property is, the history of it, what possibly easements are connected to it. Does it have any issues as far as clouds on the title? Then we move forward. We're going to look at the GIS map. Pay attention, look at that. See, okay, let's look at this land because we're not there. We're going to get into that here because that's one of the things that you use to help you, visualize the land. And also you're able to find more information about some of the concepts we talk about through the GIS maps. Okay. So this is some of the things that you learn by taking the program that we do offer. Take your time. If you are someone who are already involved in tax liens and tax deeds, that's understandable. But I promise you, at least one of those seminars that we host for you will give you some information that you may have not known about. I'm going to be honest, our ratings are coming in on different platforms, and they're saying we have a very detailed tax lien and tax deed program. Very detailed. You see how I am. I like to talk, I like to learn, and I like to look for the facts. You got the right team leader right here. So I'm not patting myself on my back, but I do like the comments that coming in. We do have to work on some of our audio. I am not the best producer. I'm working on that. I've been doing everything myself and having other people go through and edit and things like that. So if you do hear some glitches, I do apologize, guys. Just work with Lashley because we're going to get better and better every year. So what utilities are available for the property? Okay. Determine what utilities are available from the county. You can go to the local power and water and sewage company to see where the utility maps are at. They do have that. What utilities you may need to make arrangements for. They'll let you know, like this particular area, we don't cover this area. Like for instance, one of the properties that I'm selling is a non-perkable right now. But what's happening in 2 years is that the county itself is bringing sewage to that particular area. Now, the person who was buying the property from me, don't worry. They're not worried because they have property in the land in the area. They already did their own well. They got their own stuff going on. So you need to keep that in mind about the buyer, the mindset. Is the deal going to go through? Be transparent with them and they're going to go through with the deal, okay? You may need to be prepared to drill a well. As I just said, he's already got his stuff. He like, man, I know this, I have this. I'm good to get this more extra piece of land. To install a septic system or purchase a gas tank and install the gas line. That's another thing. We need to know if we could have to install gas lines, especially depends on what you're using the property for, if it's going to be residential. Don't always think just because other properties around have these things that yours particularly do, because they could have put it in there themselves. Okay. Because that's what the gentleman did. Okay. There could be restrictions on where the home may be located on the property based on where the sewage system can be located. This is why you need to understand square footage in zoning. You can have 1,700 square foot, but that doesn't mean you can build on the full 1,700 square foot. You have to have a surrounding. You may have to have a walkway in the front. It may, be some type of zoning regulations because it's a fire hydrant right there. So these are all the things that you want to keep in mind when you get a particular land. So if you're looking for land to build like 2,700 square feet, okay, and then you don't have to build a 2,700 square feet property, but you can do 1,700 square feet and then have the backyard. You see, you need to plan for those type of things realistically. And this is how you think while you're starting to invest and you're learning about your actual property. There could be restriction where the home could be located, as we talked about. Find out who the state provider is for the local electricity for the property. If the property is not already available, talk to the company about the cost of running power lines to the property. Now, this is some things you may want to keep in mind, especially people who like to buy big plots of land. That's one of the things that we're going to be working on in the next year. So we want to work on opening a cul-de-sac. Yes, I'm going to have my own cul-de-sac, guys. Yes. I got a big plan. So with the cul-de-sac, you already know you have to not only zoning, you have to determine the power, water, sewage, utility. These are all the foundational information that you want to start to, hone in on. Some of these things may already be there. Okay. So we're talking to the pre-builders here. These are the concepts that we're going to go into bit by bit into our building seminar. Yes, in about 2 months or a month and a half, you're going to have a whole seminar up there for you guys to review for new builders. Okay. Now, we want to find out the state providers that we talked about. Is the land buildable? What makes the land buildable? Don't say just because you got some land and some grass is buildable. That does not make the land buildable. It's more than a visual overlook of the property. It's actually due diligence and inspection. The soil type affects the ability of the land to be supported, to support the septic system and to support the actual home. That's why you want to make sure that you don't get wetland. You don't get these properties land that's in swamplands because you won't be able to build on top of them. or you'll have to get them filled with landfill. Sometimes they'll allow you to do that if it is suitable for the property that you're building. But these are some of the things you want to talk about. So the soil type affects the ability of the land to support the septic tank and building. The soil pre-collation test. We're going to go into what is the soil pre-collation test, as well as a deep dive into what is the PERC test, the ins and out. Is it perkable? Is not. It's so much to that concept, okay? As well as the soil pro-collation test. Did y'all ever hear about that? Okay, this is testing your oil. Soil. Can a septic tank go in there? Is it the type of soil that you can build homes on? Okay, you didn't even know that. Okay, determine the rate at which water drains through the soil. So that's the main function of that test. But we're going to go into details, and we're going to go into how much these things cost. Because when I was talking to my realtor, we was talking about perkable. She like, listen, it's $500 here, it's $250 here, and this, that, and the third is non-refundable. You can get the city to do it. So it just depends. We're going to show you some examples. Your county or district environmental health services should be able to perform the test. As I told you, these are government entities, but they got to get paid. So if it's not available, they'll be able to perform these tests for you. Additionally, if the property is sloped or have elevated changes, this could affect your ability to build. So you want to get a visual of the property. That's why it's so important for you to look at the GIS map to understand how to use it. And I know the GIS maps can be a little bit complicated, okay? Because of the use of it. Some GIS maps make you got to download some stuff and things like that. So you want to get a county or a state GIS map server and get to know it. At least spend a couple of days to get to know that GIS map. I give you an example of one or two in our GIS seminar, as well as in the program. But I will say this, not all GIS maps are built the same. But I will say that the ones that are offered by the county or the state, they're probably much more navigatable. Does that make sense? But some of them are not, because they have so many different types. Some of them have for the mountain range, some of them just for the some of them have utility GIS maps as well. And I did show y'all a while ago of this international company that mapped Canada and United States utility lines. So I'm gonna try to pull that up. Let me just make a note of that before we leave. USA and Canada utility lines. Let me see, can I pull that up to show y'all? Because this is some of the things that y'all can use for resources and find y'all place easy without having to, do a lot of running around behind different government entities. So is the property easily accessible? That is very important, guys, because sometimes you look like it's accessible and it's not. They will sell these properties through the tax lien tax deed sales and you can't get to them. It's just cutting the parcel in the square. It's a landlocked, and maybe there is an easement that can be created, but you want to know that before you put your money in. Okay, you want to know, like, okay, wait a minute, this is behind somebody's house. Do I have to create an easement? Is there an easement there? Where do you find easement information, guys? Yes, I am the teacher today. One of the best places that you can find easement information is actually the land survey office. Okay, Lady E of Montgomery, shout out to you. Thank you so much for being in the chat and actually, just intertwining with me. I love you and I appreciate you. So I'm gonna be looking over there, kind of getting your comments. I appreciate you. All right, and everybody else, especially on Rumble, I've been seeing you tune in. Please hit the like button, make your comments, have a question. I'll answer them. Yeah, obviously, see, I like what I do. Okay. So, is the property accessible? Determine the nature or the extent of accessibility to the property. The property must both have physical and legal accessibility. This is why I want us to still go over, it's more terms we got to go over legally about possession. Okay. We're going to squeeze that in too. I was supposed to do that last week when I talked about estates. And hold on, where is my paper? Hold on 1 second. I could make a add it in today, because hold on, I know this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't. Did I? Hold on. That's the word. It's supposed to be estates and don't be my butt, guys. I have it together. Georgia. Mitigating risk factors. I just put all this stuff together. I probably mixed it up. I'll find it. It's another set of terms that I want to get to as far as legal terms that you guys need to know about ownership versus possession and those type of things. So we're gonna still get into that. Okay, it's like one more section or two more sections of the law seminar that I want to add, and it's actually about possession and ownership. You may own something, but you don't possess it. So you see what happened with those people? They owned the property, but then they lost possession by him leaving out and then by the faulty paperwork. Okay. So I'm sorry. I was looking for that paper. As soon as I get off the live with y'all, it's gonna pop right up in my face. But it's okay. So we're gonna be talking about the difference of a physical possession and legal possession, access to obtain financing, and ensuring future desired use. That is very important, guys. If you want to build, you got to have a plan. And it may not be totally together right now, but come up with a plan A and B, especially when it comes to financing and building. Okay. This is why we do secure your energy, and we talk about saving your money, learning how to, basically stop buying things that you don't need to buy because you have an ulterior goal. Take time to save bits and bits of money so you can actually invest in a tax lien or tax deed, and then continue with that process. So if you have to do the foreclosure, you'll have money put to the side and those type of things. This is why we talk about planning and budget. It's just not for the first process. We don't want y'all to buy tax lien, tax lien, tax lien. No, we want you to foreclose, own it, crush it, do whatever you want to do with it. Okay, we want you to win, because there's a lot of people who are getting in the tax lien games, and they're how can I say, physically getting the tax certificate, but not legally never owning them. They're just basically giving the county money because they messing up. Okay. Shout out to all the new members that's in our Facebook group. I see you coming in. All I ask y'all to do is just review the videos that we have here. We have a world of information on Facebook too. Welcome, welcome. We just had a slew of people coming through Facebook. I don't know what happened, but I'm grateful for you. And y'all know I love to learn and teach. So welcome, welcome. Okay. Now, does the physical, okay, so you want to know, you have a physical route. Was it an easement already created? I just said where you can look to see if it was the easement created on old surveys. You may acquire the old survey online, but some counties don't. I don't recommend you just go buy surveys for everything you're about to invest in. Please don't do that. Okay. Pay $30 surveys, but you want to go on the GIS map, talk to the land survey department and ask them, is it a way that I can view this online? And they were like, yeah, we can just send you a copy, a little paper copy, but we can't send you a certified copy. You're like, okay, how much is that? $5. Okay, cool. You see, closed mouth don't get fed. All they can say is no. Me, I'm just going to ask them to just keep asking. So does the parcel have a deed right of passageway? That's what we talk about. And this when you want to know where your land is and where it starts. Okay. You want to know this before you invest, because if you have a neighbor that has a right of passage through your property and you just bought it, you like, what are you doing walking through my stuff? And they like, I've been living here for 30 years. You better get out of my face. I'm walking to this side of my house. And you like, oh my God, this is about to be a problem because I can't put up a privacy fence. These are some of the things that you can mitigate before you buy your property. Okay. And these are some of the things that the actual title company and your real estate person, when you're going through a general conventional loan, this is what they're supposed to do. But you saw in the firehouse situation that they didn't do it. And guess who had to pay? So you see why last year a little OCD? Because even when they're supposed to do it, and then you don't have the law backing you up to the extent, like, have those entities, like, as I said, the funding behind the Consumer Protection Bureau to implement the laws behind the Dodd-Frank Act. You got to do it. This is where we're all at today. That's why I'm teaching y'all how to fight. I'm teaching y'all skills to learn how to fight. stand up for your rights and do things correctly, as well as find the mistakes that they have done wrong. We showed you the government doing it wrong there. So if you intend to build, check the municipal requirements for road frontage and public maintenance road. So exactly, you want to know how far you have to be from the public maintenance road as well. And if they would have did that, they would have knew that you can't change this firehouse into a residence. If they would have did these little bit of things that I'm talking about, they're like, wait a minute, this is not zone. Why does it keep saying that? And then you take it to the realty company, like, listen, this is what I found. Can I change this to a house? Because I'm not about to go through this. Okay. Just doing your minor due diligence. Where are the property lines and what goes on around the property? Is there school zone that's going to protect, going to affect you? Where you park? You see what I'm saying? These type of things, the type of traffic that's coming through your home will mitigate what can be in those particular areas. Okay, keep that in mind. Sometimes when, like, okay, and this shouldn't bother you, the speed limit, but the speed limit can be reduced on particular blocks that has handicapped kids. So what the family would do, petition the county and let them know, I need a sign that I have handicap here, this, that, and the third. And then sometimes they put speed bumps there and everything. I don't know if y'all ever saw that, but I've seen that. So there can be different things that affect certain requirements in the area. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. You want to, as we talked about, obtain a survey if you can. If you ever, like, this is if you own a home already. If you already own a property or whatever, you're about to go sell it, you didn't get the survey, try to get the survey, especially pre-selling, because that's what I've been trying to do. Pre-sell, my pre-sales is get the survey. Hasn't been the best process, but I have learned a lot. One of the surveys that was not done, they could not find. I came to find out that the neighbor had a survey, okay? So I was able to talk to the neighbor about that survey and things like that and get a sneak peek, and it made me be able to know what I can do or what I can't do with my particular property. And then it makes me know, do I have to get a full survey or do I just have to get the land actually, like, it's called like stick, I forgot the name of it. You know, when they kind of just put the sticks, they just put the sticks in the lines across your property. It's not a full survey, but it's like a boundary type of survey. Okay, boundary survey, you can do that. So you want to obtain that. Most banks require a survey to obtain a finance for the land. That's why I can't understand what happened to him. I know he financed that home. They was just trying to give it to him. The survey may be on file in the county. I'm giving y'all hints and tips. Write it down. Take a picture. Where's the survey, guys? File in the county deed recorder's office, or they may have a whole state surveys archive office separate. Like where I was in contact in Maryland is the state survey archive department. So it wasn't particularly the county that I was in. So I was able to talk to him about all of my properties. We've been friends. He was like, you making me do the research. I said, yes, we got one more I'm coming at him for, because I said, you said this property is this, and I see this property is this. He's learning, I'm learning, we're growing. But you need to build those relationships with the people around you too. So surveys, the lines, these surveys lines can be marked with wood markers, paint markers, or trees markers. That's what I was just talking about. Sometimes you don't need a full survey. You can just get the markers put up there, which is cheap at $30, $40. Okay. If lines are not clearly marked, have a survey permanently mark the lines, okay? Additionally, find out what is happening on the property around you. Are there plans for development? Because that may affect you. Yes. Are you next to a firm or a business? Know what to expect. Now, I wish I could show this. I don't know why I didn't keep this video. There was a particular video of this lady house. Allegedly, she didn't want to sell it to the city or something, and they were making some type of government building. So allegedly, they just made the building around her home. Yes, I think it was in Chicago somewhere. And this lady, she passed away. Her home is still right. It's so weird because the building is so big. Okay, just imagine a big gray building, and then it just go in like a little rectangle with a square where her house is at. It is odd, but she didn't give up her land. But that's why you need to understand what's going on around you, because you'll probably be in a battle like that. But she won. Her property's still there looking weird. And it looked like a mall is around her or something. But anyway, what does the property look like in person? We talked about that. What do I say? Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. If you cannot be in the state that you're interested in, find a realtor. Find someone who you can pay to look at the property. Let me give you an example. My lawyer was mad at me. So we had some trouble. Let me tell you something. Okay, so this is what ended up happening. I got a buyer from one of my properties, and this can happen to you as well as a tax lien and tax deed investors. Some title companies just don't want to deal with tax liens and tax deeds because of the chain of interaction that has happened with it, especially going to being foreclosed on by the state, liens, all that. They have to clarify that everything was done correctly. So there are some companies that choose not to. So just for happened, I had a buyer, and my buyer, I said, hey, I got a realtor. She can hook you up, but if you want to do your due diligence, you could get your own title company, own lawyer to do, what they got to do. So he did. And that particular title company would not insure the title for the land. Why? Because this particular company basically said one of the people were not put on notice. Dun, 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 dun. That's a big issue. I call my lawyer like, hold up. Wait a minute. Do you know what they just said? That somebody wasn't put on notice. I said, I got all the paperwork of everybody in the chain of title because, I did my due diligence, and the people I saw that needed to be, at least those people was, but I was like, okay, there wasn't extra people. So maybe I was just so good that I found everybody. So I don't know, but these were the people who were served. So I'm like, we have everybody who was served. What are they talking about? So what ended up happening is that it was a personal representative in 1966 who writes, or it wasn't a paper of relinquish from this person in 1966. And there happened to be another personal representative that took over way before we actually foreclosed and I did what I had to do. Okay. So that new personal representative of the person who owned the home was served. The person who allegedly owned her home was served as well, because she wasn't alive, but whatever we could do, as well as what we did was the forever notice. Okay. You know about that. People like, what? Forever notice? Yes, the forever notice. I had to educate my realtor about that. I said, but it was put in the newspaper for 3 consecutive weeks, and that is like a forever notice. We talked to you guys about that. If you can't get in contact with everybody who's on the chain of list the title or was on it, they had a deed to the property, you need to run a article for at least 3 weeks, depending on the state law of how long or what it's supposed to say, so you can put a forever notice to everybody. So I'm like, what is the grounds of them not insuring it? Even if this person in 1966 who paper of personal representation was not relinquished, there's another POA paper for that power of attorney there when it's relinquished. If it don't have any, okay, for instance, if the first POA or personal representative paper doesn't have restrictions or a time limit, that's like a forever. So there has to be another thing filed to say that this was relinquished and this was that in the courts, that's how you started. So what ended up happening that was not, but this person had passed away. So when I talked to my lawyer going back and forth, I was cracking up because they sent me the email, was like, listen, I'm embarrassed. Your lawyer, my lawyer, the lawyer for the title company is going back and forth. So this is the issue. We are correct in our stance in state law. They can never come back. But allegedly, according to a Supreme Court case that they showed us, that I'm still doing more research on, that a person can bring a litigation to the Supreme Court if they were not put on notice. Now, I'm telling them, who the heck is going to come back from 1966 to come after a little property like this or a little piece of land and take it to the Supreme Court? She's like, I know it just doesn't make sense, but this title company, they don't want to do it, and it's nothing we could do because that's the only title company that particular firm deal with. So what I had to do was get referrals to other title companies in the area that deals with tax liens and tax deeds. And my lawyer, he's a tax lien and tax deed expert because why? He invests in them. Why? Because I learned my skills from him. He's like, listen, you take it to this one, or this one. So right now, this can be an issue for you as well. I want you to know this. Having the particular right title company to insure your property. You're going to need title insurance if you want to build, not just sell. Because if you want to finance on that home, thinking about you got title insurance, is this like any issues? We're not going to give you money and someone can come back and take the property from you. Does that make sense? So just keep that in mind. Don't take no for an answer. Because I was like, oh no. He was like, Lashley, it's not you. I'm frustrated with them because they don't know the law. I'm reading the email. I'm like, oh Lord, these battling all weekend. So anyway, it's good that you have to have someone in your corner to fight for you. Okay. So what does the property look like in person? We talked about what are the zoning and ordinance on the property. Did we not show you what can happen if the zoning and coordinates on the property is not adjacent to the sale? The whole sale could be fraud. That's what they're going at. It could be fraud for false advertisement on its face, but then the documents have to be correct too. Because you can't put on your document that this is on your sale document that this is a residential property, knowing on the deed that this says is for commercial or non-residential. That's fraud. Don't do it, okay? You just got to find another way. I promise you, it probably be like, okay, oh damn, it's not residential. I got caught out there. What could you do next? Have a plan A, B, C, and D, okay? Where there's a will, there's a way. Y'all know Lashley. We ain't taking no for an answer. Things happen. Some things that could be residential today can turn commercial tomorrow because things keep changing. So don't never think that things are going to be the same, particularly, not saying right tomorrow, but because you know how counties are developing themselves in towns, they're changing, they're growing, and you have to grow with them, okay? So always, what are the zoning and ordinance of the property, knowing what use of the property is zoned, as we said, residential, commercial, agriculture, okay? You can't have commercial property and have a whole farm right there. You know, I'm gonna do what I want. I'm about to have a farm in the city. It may not be regulated for that. You maybe no, because there's certain toxic, certain pollution, certain things that's in that area that's not equivalent to growing agriculture according to the, you know, the Bureau of Agriculture, whatever their name is. They have certain criteria. You got to do the soil, you got to be like this, that, and the third. Do you understand? Does that make sense? So let's just keep that in mind. Do you want to build a house? So keeping it in mind, do you want to keep add to your house shed? Do you have room for that? Do you want a barn? Do you want to add a fence? Can I add a fence? Where would it be? Damn, we got an easement here. This person has a right of passageway. I can't even build this type of privacy fence I want. What could I do? Okay. And you already know you can challenge easements. You can challenge them. I told you, have a ground, new changes, things going on. You can challenge them. We talked about that. All right. We still doing good. I still got some more to share with y'all guys. We get like an hour in the broadcast. I probably got like 2 more pages, 3 more pages. I'm doing good tonight. We sharing some good information. All right, let's keep it going. What additional costs should be necessary to prepare the land for living? This is what we talk about. If you want the land, let's say the land is probably perkable, but they say, okay, you can do septic system, but you may need to fill it in a little bit in this area because it's a little bit too wet. That don't mean you got a total wetland, but that just means that the land needs to be filled. Because in Georgia, they didn't consider these places wetland, but as I told you, I had a coworker who kept saying her new house, $300,000 house, she got $300,000, and every time she stepped on her grass, it was like square. It was wet, and she couldn't figure it out. And basically, it seemed like it was built over a wetland or built over like a swamp or something. Okay, so what she had to do was get the land filled. Okay, does that make sense? I turned my chair that way. She had to get the landfill, paid $10,000. Good Lord. Okay. Refinance and everything. Now, before we move on, it has been an hour. I do want to take like a 2-minute break, and I'm going to give you a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all. Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time, because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.
All right. Let's get back to it. We don't have a lot, but we still got a little bit more. Y'all know I like to talk. I miss y'all. Let me talk, okay? So anyway, what additional costs could be necessary to prepare the land? We gave you some example, possibly land filling. Some additional costs that may be needed include, as we talked about, drilling for wells, connection to install the septic system, running power to the property, clearing the land and roadway to get there, okay? This is why we do a visual. The construction, the creating a building plan in itself, you got to pay for that as well. Permits and fees for wells, septic building, and driveways. Being a builder is not an easy task. That's why when we do our building seminars, it's going to be very detailed because it's going to be for the new investor. So you can know what you're possibly getting yourself into. All of the things that can happen, but you're going to mentally prepare yourself and then plan and strategize. That's what we're going to be doing with the building seminar. Okay. I'm going to be honest. When you listen to some of the things that these builders go through, you be like, oh my God, it's stressful. But when you have a beautiful home that's done and worth 2-3 times the value of what you invested, then you're going to see the benefit of the heartache. Okay, part 2, because even going through the tax lien process, sometimes it's easy just to bid 1,000, 2, 1,000, but the foreclosure, making sure everybody's on notice, it can be rigorous depending on what state you're in. Okay, especially if you're in another state, you got a lot going on, guys. That's why we say take your time, pick one county, one state, and do your thing and crush it. Okay. Now this is something that you want to keep in mind to our land buyers. Check the timber. Okay. My stepsister's husband now, her new husband, when they first were together and everything, I used to be like, what he do for a living? What the hell do Nick do? All he do is sit in the house and smoke on weed. I used to be like, what does this white boy do? But he actually had a good investment. Don't laugh at me because I used to call him out. I ain't like he's smoking weed all day. What'd he do? He actually has a whole bunch of land that that's in his family. And what they do is every other year or so season, they cut a whole bunch down and sell it and make thousands of dollars. I was like, oh, nickaroo. That's what really made me want to get into it. I was like, oh no, we're about to get into this real estate. You telling me that I can just have some land with a bunch of trees and then I can do something like this? If you're interested in cutting timber on your land, you can sell it. Find out what's the timber value. A forester can determine the current value or standing timber by performing a timber test. Okay. Foresters have knowledge of area mills, loggers, and can help you assess costs of harvesting and making recommendation of how to manage and actually construct a project where you're cutting down your trees. Okay. Y'all know I'm always coming up with a hustle. I can't help it. Listen, we're gonna sell flowers on Valentine's Day. Ain't none of us going poor. I don't care what they talk about the economy, what's going on. Last, going to show you how to hustle. Let's go. Now, you think whoever thought about timber? Okay. I was like, Nick, you smart over there smoking on all them trees, ain't you? All right. All right, let me move on. They gonna kick my butt. They gonna like, she said the shit she wanted to say. I said it to Nick too. Like, boy, get it together. Anyway, what are your plans for financing? You have to have a realistic plan. Guys, this is what we're telling you. Get your credit together. Create your business. Build business credit. Also, by you investing in tax liens and tax deed, you're literally creating assets for yourself. I'm going to give you an example. My first business loan, I literally used I used two of the properties, land, as collateral. Now, they couldn't actually use one of them because they said one of them were out of the state. So they was like, they don't use out of the state property as collateral. I was like, oh, okay. They're like, but we could use this. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And that was that allowed me to get more business capital. Okay. Yes. Where there's a will, there's a way. So while we're coming in the slow man, poor man's way, going through the tax lien, the tax deed, when we have about 3 or 4 or 5 of them, we can use that for collateral to get $100,000 loan. Because they like, hey, we can liquidate these. This worth 10, this worth this. They're working on something. That's what a lot of these lenders want to see. Longevity. You're working on something, a little portfolio, a plan to actually execute it, and honorability. And that's what we do at Primetime Home Buyers. We're honorable. We ain't asking for no handouts. We ain't begging, but we're going to come honorable, do our thing. And you better come right, because we don't want to have to take you to court. Okay. You guys seeing all that's going on with the scamming community. I'm so happy to just sit back and watch. Okay. Because I told y'all I was going to make some ties with some people in Atlanta trying to get my program out. You know, a lot of the Black celebrities out here and I was like, let me try. But then God said, sit and watch. So with that goes to say, take your time, build your legacy by yourself. The right people will come to help you. They will. Okay. We're starting to get to an end. How do I check property utilities? Okay. So we talked about sewage. We talked about pipelines. And now we talk about utilities. Keep in mind that utilities are not very common with rural vacant land. I found that out the hard way. It wasn't even really vacant. It got a neighbor. And I'm like, why ain't got no damn percolable? What? And he like, yeah, mine's. I had to do my own well. I'm like, oh, dang it. But I didn't know that because when I invested in this, I didn't look that deep. Y'all learning from every mistake I made. I'm going to come here and I'm going to put it in. Like, listen, you know what? But there's always a way around it. Okay. So anyway, utilities are not very common on vacant lands. Yeah, I know I love vacant land, especially with larger plots that are more out in the middle of nowhere. I don't really like them out in the middle of nowhere, but as I told you, this one is literally in a little country city, in a country town in Maryland, right? The borderline of Baltimore? No, Maryland, yeah, in Baltimore. I can't understand why I don't have utilities. So if you're looking for a more residential lot where you will build a house closer to the city and town may be your option. You have a much greater chance of already having utilities. You don't have to be in, but try to be as close as possible. Where to find property utility information. You need to figure out what type of road access there is, as well as what boundaries from your potential properties are. And you can do this with the county GIS map. That's what I'm telling you. Some of these county GIS maps, and I'm going to show you in an example, not tonight, because we're about almost an hour and 10 minutes in. Some of these county GIS maps, they be having like 5 different ones. One would be for the mountain range, one would be for grassland, one would be for street and suburban residential, and one would be for utilities, and one would be for zoning. And you just need to know how to access it and how to read it. If the county has these resources online, they are normally free. If they don't have resources online, you can call the county assessor's office and ask which entity will house this information. Always start at the county assessor's office if you're confused, because everything is not always at the county recorder's office. They're just recording, like, we don't know. We just record the documents. As you know, they record documents that sometimes not even right. They recorded that document, all the documents to that fire department house. They recorded it and have no liability. So just please pay attention to the entities, as well as make sure that you know who is the county treasury office, because they deal with mostly all the county finances, things that are bought, things that are purchased. You'll probably find more information there. Okay. So you will need two things out to find. You will need two things to find out the coordinates and access information for the property. What do you need? Okay. Before you go to all these places I told you what you need on the property. Not the homeowner's name. What do you need? They like, just tell us. You need the parcel information. A lot of people who scam, they never give the parcel information, because as soon as you hit that parcel number in the county, you're going to get the owner's information. They're not going to, let's see, is the parcel. Because if you pull it up and it ain't their name, the whole scam is up. So remember that when you're looking at buying property, things like that, even if you're selling, like, well, I got the parcel number, the API number, whatever they want to call it, a county identifier. Here you go, print it out and let it have your name on it. That's why a lot of my buyers knew that I was real, because I was printing out the tax assessors. I was putting at the API and the parcel map, the map that had the county parcel. That, you know, the tax assessor will sometimes have their own map. I printed that out and put it right up there on the on my ad, so they knew this name matched this name, this name matched this name. There's no fraud going on here, because I told you I have been confronted with a lot of questionable realtors and things like that. I actually, guess what I gotta do? I actually gotta write a letter. I'm gonna see who I gotta write a letter to about this. One of the people who came to see my property. Let me see if there's anything else before I tell you this story. How to check for the property for power. One more thing before I tell you about this story. How to check the property for power. You want to contact the power company to see if they ran lines through there. Have it up on Google, and you should be able to find some type of information pertaining to the actual county area. If they have land, they have lines going through it, utility lines. Hold on, and I want to bring up this website that I told y'all, so y'all be able to see if they have utilities. How do I check the property for what is okay? Okay, utilities. Hopefully, I can find it. Utilities map. Canada. Let's see what we can find, because I remember that came up for me. Best utilities. Oh, sorry. Hold on, guys. And list of Canada electricity map, utility maps in USA. They have some utility maps up here, but I wanted the maps in USA, Canada, energy relationship. I think this it, y'all. Is this it? Yes. I found it. Okay, look, y'all. I'm going to put this up here for y'all, so y'all be able to find the utility maps. This is a general one. Not saying they got it. It's totally correct for every single place, but this is great. It's something better than nothing. You start right here and then go down on the county level. Now, as you can see, mapping the U.S. Canada energy relationship. So this is download the PDF file of the mapping of the U.S. Download the briefing. So this is the map right here. This is one of the maps, but you want to look for the maps that shows the actual where it's located. Let's see something. I think this is it. One of these energy trade map, energy trade maps. Hold on. This is the energy trade maps. I'm going to find it with the utility lines, and I'm going to be able to show y'all, because it was a website that I had went through and I found it. I was like, oh, look at that. It got all the utility line. What is that? Let me see what that first link is. I hope. Yeah, no. See, when I was looking up this information, I said I should have just pulled it up then. I said, no, I'm gonna pull it up when I'm live, being lazy. Okay, this is the utility map. All right, what I was about to tell y'all. The story. Hold on. Property. Oh man, it slipped my mind. It was the story I was about to tell y'all. Dag it. Y'all remember the story I was about to tell y'all? All right, let me just see if I can flip back. I was talking about checking on your property, and then the last thing I was talking about is coordinating the information to access your property. It was something else. There was one more thing going on that I wanted to tell you. When it comes to my mind, I'll be able to share it with y'all again. Oh, I knew I should have told the story. I got a lot going on, but I'm still here for y'all. Now, what I'm going to do is start to bring this broadcast to an end. I shared a lot of information. This was one of our introductory talks to how to understand the concepts to be an adequate builder. Okay. A lot of us don't even know where to start. Okay. I didn't even know where to start at one point. So I started talking to everybody. So I started talking to builders and I'm getting all these resources. I'm talking to realtors. Oh, this is what I wanted to tell you guys. When it comes to resources, always be diverse with your resource. Okay. Now, as I say, I love my lawyer. Okay. So we were originally going to, like, what I was doing was showing my property, well, putting it up for listing, and people were coming, talking to me about it, and I was underlisting it. Okay. This is why we go over how to price your property. I was underlisting it because from a lawyer perspective, they're not going to go deep into looking perkable, land sellable, sewer system. I said, listen, I'm selling this property for $5,000, this land, 5,000, 10,000, whatever. I got a buyer. I need you to put the paperwork together. He like, okay. So this will end up happening. When I met my realtor that I really love, because not a lot of realtors that deal with tax liens, but they coming over to our side. They coming over to the tax lien side because a lot of them locked out the market because everything's so automated for them. Everything's automated. They don't even need realtors no more. So basically what ended up happening is after dealing with my realtor and she's able to do the research and due diligence, I'm sorry, taking it off. She was able to find out so much more I can do with the property. She talked to someone in the land survey office. She was getting to find out when they were actually having the monthly board meetings to see can she get a floor plan approved so we can start to build on the property, or when we sell the property, we can list it under these terms. Okay. So when we found out what we can do with the property, even put a 2-story there, I was like, whoa. She's like, we could do this for $1,850. 18,500. I was like, what? Hold up. The assessed value on the tax assessor's website, I said 5,500. She said, no. That is from them, just the land. They're not considering what can be done on the land, if it's perkable, none of that. So don't always just bank how much you're going to sell your property based on the assessed value that the actual tax assessor give you, because that's one factor that we talked about. But you want to talk about the comparables. If you have comparable land, if you don't have comparables, you want to know what you can do with the land. So this is the most important thing that I can share with you today. Take your time, ask different resources and different specialty people in different specialties. She was able to talk to contractors that knew in the area what they can do, what they can't do, and actually give her contacts to people who we needed to call to get us into the next monthly meeting to get our floor plans approved. Okay. This is why I say be open to learn. Always stay in communication. Pick vibes that are right. The vibes mean anything. I know y'all like, where did that come from? Just because people in certain positions, does that mean they're right for you? Sometimes you just got to be by yourself, work on it, and say, God, please, this just don't feel right. I just explained to y'all, I could have had my tax lien and deed program out there with Jay Morris. I'm just going to be honest. I could. I was going around checking things out like, oh, these the gurus. Then some said, sit your ass down, Lashley. Excuse me. I was like, what's going on around here? Every time I ask questions, somebody's getting an attitude. Somebody, I said, oh, this is not working. And I fell back and I started to see what comes out. So what I'm saying to you guys, I know you guys in social media. I know there's a lot of influences. There's things that you're going to see. There's things that you want to put your money into. Take your time. Run their names. I'm teaching you how to run people's names. Run my name. All right. My first name is Siobhan, like Avon. And my last name is Lashley, like Ashley. I always tell people those two things you'll never forget. Run the name. You can get to know the credentials of the person. You run me through PERC. See, you can see the cases that I went through. Even I ain't got much cases, but that cases you're gonna see in Maryland. What else I got? That's it. Child support. Do you think that'll show up? They don't pay it anyway. So anyway, I'm not going to get off the topic. I love you guys. Please do your due diligence. I am planning on coming back on a Monday, guys. And I want to say one thing. I want to give a shout out to my son. My son is turning 20 on Tuesday. He is going to be the next and upcoming tax lien and deed investor. He just don't know it. I'm teaching him the method slowly but surely because they got to be diverse. You know, he want to do his own thing. But I'm like, you're going to come to the tax lien sale with me? You're gonna save some money. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna save some money. And then when he gets some money enough, I'm like, you wanna invest in one? I'm gonna just take him to the dark side. Anyway, I love you guys. You have a beautiful weekend. I will be back on Monday with more hints and tips. Maybe not telling y'all what I'm gonna talk about now, but I have a whole bunch of stuff that I need to get to with y'all to also finish off our seminars. And we're gonna be focused on concepts of building. It's gonna be more formal. I'm going to get into what is a PERC test. Is the land perkable versus non-perkable? The prices to expect. And, do you need a permit? All that type of stuff. We're going to get into it. So I love you guys. And you have a beautiful, beautiful weekend.
Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.